It's no longer a case of the United States saying, we make policy and we tell the Africans. That has got to change. It is a recipe for disaster. It is a recipe for the United States seeing itself losing its place as Africa's preferred trading partner. That's what makes this meeting very important. And I'm hoping that the US can call for timeout and understand that engaging Africa at this time, it is a new game that is calling for new rules of engagement. And therefore, it is time to re-strategize and treat the Africans fairly, treat the Africans respectfully, and treat the Africans as equal partners.
It seems to me that the United States are better at policy making, setting the trend, setting the pace, and China is the better business partner. And that's where America is getting all the problems from. Like, when the Chinese come to Africa, or when they come to our leaders, they ask them what they want. They ask the government, they ask officials in government, what do you want? Where do you want to develop? What do you want to build? What do you want us to do for you? What do you want our businessmen to do for you? What kind of investments are lacking in your country? And all things like that. But when the United States comes to Africa, they don't come as partners, but they come as policymakers, they come as trendsetters, and they always want what they want, their own agendas, to be fulfilled in a particular country, or a country where they say they are going to support, or they're going to support to fund the business that is going on in the country. And that is where we are failing. That's one of the things that our leaders are looking at and saying, no, we can no longer work with such a person. Now, there are instances where we talk about democracy. There are times when we talk about human rights. There are times when we talk about value of human rights and talking about what the United States thinks is more important, or what they want us to think is more important to them, yet it doesn't even matter to them, or they don't look to be looking at it as an important issue, which is human rights, climate change, animal rights, a lot of things like go through those, democracy, election, peaceful elections, and a lot of things that they portray to be looking at. And well, we look at the Chinese partners. For example, I'm going to give you an example of the recent concluded US-Africa Leaders Summit, where officials from Africa were complaining of not knowing the agenda, not knowing what was going to happen in the summit, and the agenda being set by the American side. And yet, this is a summit that we are going to discuss. You and us, you are the developing partner, the funding partner, and us, the partners on the other end, where the population is, where the people are, where the oil is, where the money, the minerals are. We are partners in business, and we are supposed to know what is going to happen. And yet, in Beijing, when the Chinese president calls African leaders are setting the agenda. They said what they want. They said what they are going to talk about. They get their own representatives that they want to talk to them. And when the Chinese president comes, he's going to meet a whole set African Union, or a whole set delegation from Africa that are giving his investors and his partners and himself what they really want and how they want to partner. Now, you can see that in the recent years, China investment in Africa, the trend has gone up. And I want you to listen to me very well. I'm talking about investment, not just loans, not just setting a pace, not just telling people what to do, but investment in Africa has gone up. And you can see that right now, the United States thinks that they can come back to Africa and set their own pace just like they used to do that. And I think that is not going to be possible anymore. Right now, it is not going to be possible in Africa, because that is not what we are looking at right now. Right now, we are looking at a development that is independent. We are respecting our own values as Africans, as much as we respect human rights and everything. But Africa also wants to be independent, and the leaders want to be independent. They want to be independent in decision making. They want to be independent in developing their countries and implementing what they think is right for their continent or their citizens. Now, there is something that Americans or the US always think, that they can just come and tell you what they want to do and you're supposed to do it. And that when in business or in partnership, that is not going to work. China sells billions. China sells products worth billions of dollars every single year to Africa. Different products, electronics, electricals, clothes, and a lot of stuff to Africa. But when China comes to Africa, they come as partners, they come as investors, they come as businessmen that are coming to partner with you to do business, not to decide for you what you're going to do. And yet the other side is still thinking about coming and you coming to them and asking for money from them, you coming to them and begging or sitting down and telling them that, you know what, we want this and this and this and this and this. And yet, at the end of the day, they are even benefiting more than you, because Africa has the population, Africa has the minerals, Africa has oil, Africa has fuel, Africa has gas, Africa has gold. And that all is considered before the United States decides to partner with the continent. Now, Chinese policy, just like I told you in the beginning, China's Africa policy is that China doesn't do value promotion. What they do is China will come to an African state and say, what do you want? That's what they do. They ask you, what do you want? And then they'll help you to finance it. And also, they'll help you sometimes even to bring the labor, the manpower that is going to run that. They help you to give you trainers that are going to implement that. That's why you see that there right now, there are so many successful projects that are being funded by China more than any other part of the world in Africa. So if we look at the way things are going and what Africa wants to achieve, not looking at the side of the downsides of the loans and taking out so much money from other countries and not being able to pay it later. But if we look at the development of Africa and Africa developing their countries the way they really want them to be, and Africa dealing with the person that is going to respect them, then China is a better partner.